those sponsors. So thanks so much, and obviously let's dive in. All right, so as you already know, my name is Elena. I'm currently VP of Product at a company called Spryker, which is one of the fastest growing e-commerce platforms covering lots of different business models in the e-commerce and digital commerce world, from B2B, B2C, enterprise marketplaces, unified commerce, and more. In parallel, I also had a chance to start working on a product management and capacity planning tool on a product called OneRank that's supposed to help product and engineering managers make smart decisions, what to prioritize in their product based on capacity that they have. So explore different scenarios and stuff like that. So that's something that I know lots of product managers also face challenges with. A little bit about myself. So I'm originally from Ukraine. If I know you hear the accent, you might be wondering where I'm from. So Ukraine is the place where I've been born and have a chance to spend the majority of my life in. And about 6 years ago, I moved to Austin, Texas, where I'm currently based, to start a new opportunity working for the company called Magento, which is another e-commerce platform. Why this is matter and why I'm actually telling you all of this is because product leadership is actually really interesting, and the more different experience you have and the more different challenges and cultures you actually have to face with kind of makes it even more complicated, because product leadership is already kind of quite challenging. But as you move from different continents and you have to face different cultures and languages, it definitely gets even harder. But regardless, it's definitely all really possible. And I'm going to tell you some of the principles that at least I personally have been following through all of those years. So being here for 6 years, I had the chance to first work for Magento, and then I moved to the company called BigCommerce, where I spent 4 amazing years working on another e-commerce platform. And just about 2 weeks ago, I actually started working for the third company in the same space, but now actually working with a team that is fully based in Germany and the rest of Europe. So as you can imagine, I'm actually, again, jumping on this plane of trying to lead the team that has completely different backgrounds and coming from different cultures and regions, and trying to steer this product and the team in the right direction. So today we're going to talk about product leadership and what it actually means to lead and build winning product teams. As the new aspiring and the new existing product leader, you probably have had those questions. What does it actually mean to be a product leader? What are you actually responsible for? Are you still responsible for creating requirements and working with engineering teams, or are you supposed to do something else? How would your day-to-day look like? How do you actually build a successful product team, and how does that success actually look like for both you and your team, and many more? I definitely had the same questions as I was becoming a product leader for the first time about 10 years ago. I honestly didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, as I got promoted from an individual contributor product manager to lead the team of product managers. And within those last 10 years, as I was working with different teams and managing people doing product management in different regions and countries, I kind of distilled it down to 3 main principles. So to me, product leadership actually is about those 3 things. People obviously comes first. So the product leadership is actually about the people. The second part is the product, because we're still talking about product leadership, if my slides are going to work. So the second part is definitely the product, because we're talking about the product leadership, and you're still responsible for building the product that customers love. And the third aspect that surprises most of the product leaders that I typically talk to is the process. Because none of them actually been expecting that as a product leader, you have to be involved in product processes and kind of defining and shaping them. So I'll talk about all of those aspects and what they actually mean for you as a product leader, whether you are inspiring to become one sometime soon, or maybe already leading the team. But in summary, so product leadership is about having happy, motivated, and talented people on a team that can still build a product that customers love. But most importantly, you also need to be focusing on enabling the process for these people to build that product that customers are going to love. And all of those three aspects are equally important. Without one, your work is not going to be successful. So let's look into each of those aspects and pillars separately. Obviously, first, we're going to talk about people, because as I said, your goal as product leader is to have the happy, talented, and motivated team that you can work together with. So how do you do that? First, obviously, there's no surprise, you are responsible for building the best team that you can have. And it's really important to realize that you are responsible for building the best team that you can have for that specific moment in time, for that specific company, and with those resources that you currently have. It's not always possible to go and hire all the best experts in the world immediately and accommodate all the different salary and budget expectations. However, what you can actually do is to hire for potential. You always need to look for those abilities in people that allow them to actually succeed as product managers, even if they don't have that specific experience right now. You also need to be continuously developing and investing in people that you already have on the team, because if you hired somebody who is great and motivated, but you do not help them continue to develop their skills and learn as a professional, your team is not going to be as great as it should be. Also, another mistake that most product leaders, even existing product leaders, actually make is try to hire people that look pretty much exactly as they are. They have similar backgrounds or maybe similar skill sets. And while that actually might be comfortable, but in reality, you're actually limiting your perspective to similar perspectives that you have already on the team, because I know maybe you and your existing team have exactly the same skill set. So you have to be focusing on bringing new people that come from a different background, maybe have completely different skill sets, ideas, even maybe their motivation is coming from a completely different perspective. That will really help you broaden your product team and help you create a really dynamic environment. The second thing that you're actually supposed to focus on is building trust. Because without trust, nothing can really happen. And trust obviously is something that is hard to define and measure. But most importantly, I truly believe that first, you need to ensure that your team can trust you with pretty much anything. You need to create an environment where anybody can come to you with anything, whether they are happy or unhappy with the teams that they're working with, or maybe I know they're looking at the market and wondering whether the specific company is the right place for them to stay, or maybe they actually have different goals in mind in their lives, and right now there's this moment kind of they have the job just for the specific moment, but in the future they would like to do something else. There might be challenges on the team, there might be challenges somewhere else, maybe also they actually don't know how to do something, and it might be completely fine to actually talk about this. So once you actually build, once you actually get to the point where the team can trust you, they will start trusting you back. And once you have that trust, you can actually move mountains. And I truly believe in that, because I think the trust is actually one of the most essential things that every team needs to have. And then the last thing that is really important is remember that you always work with people. So it's not about another employee on your team and you're their manager. You're all partners and equal parts of the same team. So you have to focus on that personal side of things. You have to have fun together. You have to create a lot of space for people to get to know you, for you to get to know them. maybe I don't know, build some silly traditions, and whatever can actually show everybody who you actually are as a person. And once people start enjoying their time together inside the work or maybe outside, it's going to be much harder for somebody to make that decision to leave. But even if they do, there are probably going to be lots of interest for those people to work together with you one day if the stars line up well. To give you an example, early in my career, so when I first was promoted as a manager, as it typically happens, one of the person on my team who was my peer before didn't like that fact and actually immediately decided to leave the company. So I was obviously devastated and shocked and didn't know what to do, but clearly there was a gap that I had to fill and I had to find another person to join our team. There was another person within the company who worked as a software developer at Test who expressed interest in joining the product team, but obviously didn't have any product management experience before. I had a manager at the time, and so I talked to this manager and said, I actually would like to hire this person because I truly believe that he has all the skill set, he has the customer empathy, and I think he's going to be a great addition to the team. But regardless, the answer that I got was no, mostly because this person didn't have the product management experience. So it took me a couple of months of convincing, and at the end, I actually walked back to my manager and said that I actually want to still hire this person, and I know I want to take this chance, and if it doesn't work out, I know he would be free to fire both me and this person that I believe in, but I can kind of guarantee that it's gonna all work out. And there was something interesting that happened in that moment. First, my manager at the time kind of showed something interesting in the team that I was trying to build, because I was actually ready to stand for them. And honestly, if it didn't work out with that person, I was happily would be ready to leave, because that was my chance, and I was happy to be proven wrong if it didn't work out. But most importantly, with this person that I know we actually ended up hiring from internally, we created this trust that actually lasted for many, many years after. And he ended up being one of the greatest product managers, even though he haven't had a product management experience before. And every time at that company, when we had to solve some of the most challenging problems, he was the go-to person to go to, and even my manager at the time had to admit that that was the right decision. So I want to leave you with the thing that as when you're as a leader building your product team, you kind of need to understand what is the best team that you can have at that time, and how you can kind of create this mutual trust. And then most importantly, how can you truly enjoy this time together, so then it's not just working relationship, it's just something more. The second part, obviously, is the product, and obviously it's a product management conference, and I know we all hear product managers, so product is one of the most important things that we all supposed to be focusing on. However, as I typically talk to product leaders, they do ask me those questions, what does it actually mean to be a product leader now, working on a product? Like, do I write user stories? Do I take some projects and lead them myself? If I don't do that, what is actually my role then? People kind of feel confused and lost sometimes. And again, in years past, I was thinking about this quite a lot. And to me, as a product leader, your focus on the product actually means those three specific things. The first one is you have to know your customer. You have to spend all of this time when you're actually not working with engineering team building something. You have to get out there and actually spend time with your customers, so then you have that perspective, who your customers are, and also you can actually bring that perspective back to your team. Because the more stories of those customers that you can actually share with your team and help inform their decisions, the better the outcome of the product management is going to be. So as a product leader, you are the person who paves the road to get to know all of your customers. And that's actually one of the most important activities that we as product leaders should be spending our time on. The next important thing is you have to be focusing always on the big picture and making sure that that overarching big picture and the strategy actually connects the dots across all the different initiatives that your product managers work on. Because it sounds really easy, but at the same time, it's really important for the success of the product and for the success of your team to be able to make decisions that make sense together. You have to be able to show them kind of where the company is going to and how, most importantly, the product is going to be supporting this, this vision moving forward. And then in all of your conversations with the product team, when the specific product manager is working on their part, you have to remind them and kind of you have to show them kind of their contribution to it and explain some kind of principles and guidelines by which all of this is coming together. And sometimes it's not really easy kind of to see it all when you actually spend all of your time working with the engineering team. And I know you just simply sometimes don't really understand how this how all of this connects with each other and how do you actually contribute to the bigger picture. And then the last part is as a product leaders, we're also supposed to be setting clear product principles and priorities. This is actually really important to enable autonomous decision making. So then you don't need to be in the room, but also most importantly, it gives control back to this amazing product team that we already talked about to make decisions on their own and then reach out if they're unsure about something. Now, to put all of this in perspective, one of the previous companies that I worked for, we were working on the open source e-commerce platform for developers. So obviously there were lots of different things and lots of different customers that we had to focus on. So we had developers, independent developers, technology partners, we had agencies integrating with us, we had merchants, sellers who wanted to sell something, we had their shoppers, and there were lots of different initiatives for each user type, as well as lots of different priorities. And it was really difficult kind of obviously to make decisions what should be in the scope and what should not, because simply you were not able to compare things apple to apples because it was like apple, oranges, pears, and I don't know, watermelon or whatever. So there were so many different so many different stories and not enough capacity, as it always happens, to actually release product on a timeline. So what we ended up doing is we actually created really clear guidelines, and we said that our first priority as a development platform is to build everything for developers. So everything that is focused on developer experience and making sure that it's possible to enhance the platform comes first. From there, the user experience for the sellers comes second. At the same time, we know that those sellers are going to be quite sophisticated customers, so we don't need to have user-centric guides. It doesn't need to be we don't need to introduce any self-guided onboarding and stuff like that. Like, we need to kind of provide enterprise-level functionality. And then another principle was that everything that we build needs to be kind of ready for internalization, to be able to localize it and stuff like that. And there were lots of other things. But having this clear set of principles and rules, as well as priorities, like what's actually important for the next year, helped product team to make those decisions kind of when you were not in the room. And then if we had to make a trade-off, it was really easy to make those trade-offs since we were all talking about the same principles. Lastly, let's talk about the process. As I said, like, this part actually surprises a lot of product leaders because they most of the time underestimate the importance of it. But the process is there to actually help the people to build a product in that specific context within that specific company that you're actually part of. So what does it actually mean for you to build a process? So first, you kind of, like, process is a fluid thing, and you kind of sometimes you don't really know how that process is going to look like. It's not about Scrum or Agile or any other methodology. It's about lots of different organizational processes that you have within the company internally, but also externally with your customers. So you have to lead by example. You have to, let's say, if you want to focus more time on discovery, then you actually need to show that discovery is important, and maybe actually show a couple of examples how you do it and how you spend time on it, so that people can understand how to do it as well, and actually kind of follow your lead. If there are any like roadblocks on your team's way to excellence and efficiency, if there are lots of manual work somewhere and people have ideas how to I don't know, get rid of it so then they can actually have that time to focus on something that brings more value, so then we can get that product that customers love, be the person who supports them, and I know, kind of change those processes together with them. You also need to be opening up the doors for your people to be connected with anybody inside or outside of the organization. Your team, collective product team, is going to be as successful as you are having relationships with your customers, your partners, and even internal stakeholders. Let's say if you're working on an initiative that requires really tight collaboration with the marketing department, if you as a leader don't have a great relationship with the marketing team, probably the outcome of that work is not going to be as great. So you have to be that person who actually goes and builds those relationships and kind of opens up the doors, kind of where for some product managers, especially if they're less experienced than you are, might be a little bit intimidating. And then also remember that process is not about following rules. Most people typically think the process is all about the rules so that everybody has to follow, and there's like a guidebook, and it actually doesn't let people do anything else. I actually think that the great process enables creativity. You have to give your team breathing room to think big. You have to do everything possible to eliminate the stress and give time to ideate and reflect on whatever has been built already, and if we can do it better. As one person who was actually really important to me used to say that stress kills creativity, and I truly believe that. So if you have an environment where the processes by which the work is being done is really stressful, then you're probably not building as great of a product as you could be. I want to summarize all of that by saying that leadership and product leadership is not an exception. Leadership is not about how great you are. Product leadership is about showing your team how amazing they are, and everything that you're doing should be in support of that goal. I was lucky enough to be able to work for already 2 great companies where I built really great product teams, and most importantly, after all of those years, we have stayed really close. And funny enough, actually, with some of those people, as I started, I already mentioned at the beginning, I started my new opportunity just 2 weeks ago. We're actually planning to rejoin and start working together with, which is one of the best feelings in the world. So this is the pictures of some of my previous teams that I, as I said, had the biggest pleasure working with, and I'm hoping that in this new opportunity that I'm just starting, there will be more of those happy moments. And if you want to get inspired by some of the greatest people that build the teams in completely different industries, I would recommend looking into those 3 resources that have made a lot of impact on me and how I think about product leadership. Starting with the master class was Gina Ariema, who is one of the winning basketball coaches, followed by more traditional resources in product management from Bill Campbell and Marty Kagan. With that, I would like to thank you for, first of all, joining the session, listening in, and if you have any questions, and I think we still have a couple of minutes, would be happy to answer, but if not, please reach out. I always glad to chat with people who share the same values and solving similar challenges. Thank you so much. And